I started off as going to school to be an artist. However, I got married real early, and I started having a family that kind of grew and grew and grew. And I could not finish my degree, and I studied for 3 years. But I needed to go into a career that was going to give me a paycheck and benefits and all of those good kind of things. So that's how I got into teaching. But and when I was in teaching and being a part of it, the educational system, and having such a large family, I couldn't do any art at all. So I stopped maybe for about 35 years, not doing any art at all. And so when I retired, I said, I wonder if I could still do my art. And I could. I started off doing pastels, but I wanted to do larger pieces. And that's how I got into collages. And it came real easy for me. Collages, I could cut out hands, or I could cut out shapes and hats, and I could cut out anything, and I didn't have to put a pattern down. And I kind of said, well, how can you do this so easily? And then I said, Judy, you were doing bulletin boards for most of your career, and you have to make things that are attractive and, going to draw people in on your bulletin boards. I said, maybe that's where it came from. All those years being in education. Benny Andrews was another one of my influences because his work stands off of the canvas. And I like that because it makes the actual collage change depending on the way the light shines on it. And so the shadows and all of that and the textures. So it makes it like you want to touch it, or you want to truly be a part of it. And so that's one of the things that I like about collages is that you can build it up, you can make it stand out. It doesn't have to be flat, and it makes you want to touch it. My process is basically free flow. I have an idea in my head of what I want to do, and basically I start with a face or a head, and then the eyes. The eyes also tell me which way to go. And sometimes I might start off as wanting to create a man, and it turns into a woman, or it turns into something else. It might start off as an older man. The work kind of tells me where it wants to go and what it wants to do. So I don't have any sketches. I just have an idea, and I usually start with the head, the face, and the eyes, and then just build out from there. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes I think I'm going to be making a lady, and it might turn into a man. It just depends, and it depends on what particular color I'm looking at the time. Uh, is and the color's like pick me, use me, use me, and so I'll get that. So it's a surprise to me what comes out of it, but it's always something like, all right, Judy, you did that thing, you did that, and I think art wants to be what it wants to be. It all comes from my head and my heart. It's been so much fun, and the thing about my collages is that people are attracted to them because it makes them feel a part of it, or they know this story, or they know these people, and and it's been good. It's been really good. I feel happy that I can bring other people happiness by looking at my work. And the strange thing about that is that a lot of my work have uh, black figures and representation, but a lot of white people relate to my work because it's about love, it's about community, it's about being together, and they can relate. And I used to wonder why do they see, what do they see in my work? this black lady here holding a baby. What did they see? But it's motherhood, like the strength in the arms, and I like the, the gentleness of it, and it's like security. So it reminds me of how mothers were in my family. You're very protective, very gentle, but very strong. I did a lot of mom pieces. This piece right here is my mom, and she had this beautiful white hair, and my mom was very, very stylish too. And she had her this time on this particular day. She had her Converse on, and like her cane, all colorful, but and she had this fur coat on. But and this piece is called "Miles to Go Before I Sleep." And my mom, she passed when she was 93, but she was still vibrant and still had a lot of energy and wanted to talk. One piece that I did, it was on my mom. My mom lived with me the last part of her life. I was her caregiver, and we were sitting on the porch, and I said, "Ma, when did you when did you have your first kiss?" And she kind of, her eyes kind of glazed over, and she had this smile on her face, and I took a picture of it, and I used that as a reference for a collage that I did, and she said, "I kissed a boy and his name was Fred." That piece is really special to me. And from my influence from Charles White, I wanted to show in my work strength and dignity and community and family. I wanted to show that. And um, I wanted to show how I see my community, my black community, how I see my black family, my black friends, I wanted to show that, not somebody else's interpretation. And I often call myself a visual griot because I want to tell the story, and I am telling the story visually. I was born and raised on the east side of Detroit, and my family lived in Black Bottom, and that's a community where mostly black people came to live. And so you had your churches there, you had your schools there, you had your doctors there, you had grocery stores and everything. You had everything there, your entertainment center, and I'm learning so many communities like that, thriving black communities, expressways had to go right through there. It just had to, and so we went to different places. We weren't there. You had to move, and you had to move pretty fast too. We're bringing the expressway. Got to sell your property, and so that it is so many places like that. The more I learn about it and talk about Black Bottom, there's so many places like that. But a lot of my work, I try to um, reflect. I try to bring out what Black Bottom was like. I mean, everybody was always dressed up and going to their jobs and taking care of their properties, and you're just really kind of thriving. And that's what I came up in. And when my family moved from Lafayette and McDougal, which is in Black Bottom, we moved to the east side of Detroit on Seneca. And so everybody on our block, everybody in the whole community, there was a mother and there was a father, and the fathers went to work and the mothers stayed home and the mothers cooked. And there were rules you had to be in by the street lights. I mean, so that was how I was raised. And sometimes, like I said, people think of our communities as drug addicts and low lives and all of that. And I said, that's not my existence. That's not my experience. Even I look back on the pictures from Black Bottom, and I said, no. Because I even did a piece of my mom and her sisters, and I said, "Mom, where are you guys going? Why are you so dressed up?" She said, "This is just how we dressed." So I wanted to show that. I wanted to make sure that people knew that we were very, very stylish and, had a pride about ourselves. And you couldn't go outside looking any old kind of way because you represented your family. And that was not just my family, it was everybody around me's family. So, and that's what I wanted to show in my artwork. I hope people take away that people are people. People are people. People have a pride about themselves. People have community, and and people want to be respected, and people want to show love and relationships, and that's what I want people to take away from my work. Just love, relationships, and pride in yourself, and pride of who you are and where you've come from, and where you're going to go.